Hey, it's Corey from Mahalo.com. You're about to see some screen tests of people who applied to be hosts for our education channel. This is your chance to comment and tell us who you'd like to see become our new host. If you live in the LA area and think you could do a better job, we encourage you to please submit a response video and tell us why you could be the next great host of Mahalo.com. We really appreciate your feedback.
Hi there, my name is Julie Clark. I have over 7 years teaching math and tutoring, and actually over 10 years in the education industry. So I've been teaching for a while. Hey guys, it's Julie again with Mahalo. Today we're going to work on everybody's least favorite thing, which is factoring. So I'm going to start with something simple. Well, fairly simple. So we're going to start with factoring a binomial. And I'm going to show you a simple mistake that some people make. Normally the directions will say, find the GCF, which is the greatest common factor. And some students who go quickly, oftentimes, they'll look at it at a glance and say, oh, two's in each. So they factor out a 2. 2 times what would be 8? And they say 4x cubed plus 2 times 8 would be 16. So while that is actually, it is factored correctly, on a test you'd get that wrong because you didn't pull out the greatest common factor. This happens all the time. So I'm going to show you a surefire way to never get a GCF problem wrong again. One of the first things I tell you to do is pull out the factors of your numbers and do it in order so that you don't leave anything out. So factors of 8 are 1 and 8, 2 and 4, and are there any other ones? Nope, because 2 almost matches 4. So let's do 16. 1 and 16, 2 and 8, and 4 and 4. Now, I'm also going to tell you, don't forget about the letters, because before when I factored it, I had just that 2 there. But couldn't I probably factor out an x? Let's see. So I'm going to tell you to spread out your x's. So I have 3 x's there, and 1, 2 here. So we've factored everything out as completely as we can. Now we're going to look at what the greatest, remember that G there means greatest common factor is. So go from the biggest side of the biggest number and see the biggest number you have in both piles. Do I have a 16 in both piles? No. Just got to move to the next one. Do I have an 8 in both piles? There it is. There's your GCF. Now, this is where you can't get it wrong. You don't have to think again from here. Whenever you find your GCF, you circle it and its partner. Circle it. So that's your GCF. Cross out what you pulled out, and now you have your answers for your binomial. I'm going to start with the numbers first. So I used the 8. 8 times what? 1. I used the 8 here. It was 8 times what? 2. I finished the numbers. So now let's do the letters. What's the most amount of letters I can pull out from each pile? That'd be 2. So circle what you're going to pull out. Pull it out here. And then cross it out once you've used it so that you don't try and use it again. Now, do I have any leftover x's here? Just 1. Bring down the plus sign. Do I have any x's left over here? Nope. That means you've factored it completely. Good luck. If you'd like to learn more about factoring, click on the links above and check us out at mahalo.com.
My name is Allison Moffett, and my experience in math comes from my bachelor's degree in physics and my master's degree in applied mathematics. And I've taught, I think, every age from little ones up to adults. I've taught, I think, just about every topic from arithmetic through advanced calculus. So I've covered a lot of ground with a lot of people. Hey, it's Allison from Mahalo.com, and today we're going to be talking about triangles. Now, there's a lot of interesting and useful theorems that involve triangles, so it's good to have a solid understanding of them. We're going to start with the basics, which is how to classify triangles. You can classify triangles in 2 ways, either by their sides or by their interior angles. So let's start with the first one. When you classify triangles by their sides, there's 3 categories: scalene, isosceles, and equilateral. A scalene triangle has no 2 sides the same length, so no congruent sides. An isosceles triangle has 2 sides that are congruent, so 2 sides that are the same length. And an equilateral triangle has 3 congruent sides. So we have scalene, no congruent sides; isosceles, 2 congruent sides; and equilateral, 3 congruent sides. That is, all 3 sides the same length. Now, you can also classify triangles by their interior angles. To do that, you have to understand the classification of the angles themselves. So let's talk about that first. An acute angle is one that measures less than 90 degrees. A right angle is one whose measure is equal to 90 degrees. And an obtuse angle is one that measures greater than 90 degrees, but less than 180 degrees. So an acute triangle, what do you think that would mean? Well, since an acute angle measures less than 90 degrees, an acute triangle is one where the three interior angles each measure less than 90 degrees. And it looks like that. A right triangle is one that contains one right angle, that. And an obtuse triangle is one that contains one obtuse angle. That is, one angle that's greater than 90 degrees, but still less than 180 degrees. Now, we don't talk about right triangles or obtuse triangles that have more than one right or obtuse angle. And why is that? That's because of a theorem that says that the sum of the interior angles of any triangle is 180 degrees. So if we add up all three interior angles of any triangle, we have to get 180 degrees. Now let's say, for example, we have a right triangle. Now we know that inside this right triangle we have 180 degrees. And we know that our one right angle is equal to 90 degrees. So if we subtract 90 degrees from our 180 in total, that leaves us with 90 degrees left over. That means that the two remaining angles, that one and that one, would have to add up to our remaining 90 degrees, which means each of those angles has to measure less than 90 degrees. So every right triangle will have one right angle and two acute angles. One right angle and two acute angles. And the same is true of every obtuse triangle. It'll have one obtuse angle, this one, and the remaining two angles will be acute, that one and that one. There is a lot more to learn about triangles. They have a lot of applications to geometry, and they're extremely useful. And so are all the theorems that are built around them. So we're going to talk some more about that next time. Thanks for watching my video. If you'd like to learn more about triangles or geometry, you can check out these other videos on mahalo.com.